Oh, hey guys, how you doing? It's Henry at Mowers and Blowers. Good morning. Here's an Ariens 26-inch wide dual stage snowblower. It belongs to my neighbor that I didn't know. I was working outside my garage as I usually do, and being a neighbor, he drives around, whatever. He knows that every time he sees me, I'm working on something in my driveway. So he asked me if I could tune up his snowblower. And so I said, I usually don't do it for, I do service for anybody. That's not what I do. I'm a flipper. I flip shit for myself and sell it for profit. I'm not a mechanic. I'm just a flipper. So I don't really work on other people's shit. And so I said, but I do try to help out neighbors whenever they need it. So I didn't know the guy, but apparently he knows some of my neighbors. So he seemed like a really nice guy. I said, yeah, sure. Drop it off whenever you want, and I'll get to it when I get to it. If there's snow scheduled, I'll work on it faster. I'm kind of intrigued by it right now because when he dropped it off the other day with another neighbor, it started up. It was a little confusing about the on and off fuel shut-off switch, whether is that on or is that off. You weren't 100% sure if it was getting gas into the carburetor, but finally we tried different methods, primed it a few times, and it did start up. Once it started up, it ran seemingly okay. And then we tried to engage the propulsion, the drive, and it stalled immediately. So that's usually like a carburetor thing, you know what I mean? Like if the carburetor is not, misting just right, whatever, it's not getting enough power, So I think no matter what, you're gonna have to disassemble this area here and have access to the carburetor. He said he hasn't done a thing to this thing in 11 years. No oil changes, no carb cleans. I'm surprised that he leaves gas in it every year. I mean, he's been lucky, Usually if you don't drain the gas out of the carburetor and run the thing dry, it's not going to start the next year, you know what I mean? So I'm pretty amazed actually that, he hasn't had to do anything in 11 years. He's got his money's worth for sure, not doing any maintenance to it. So he gave it to me to do a tune-up. So I'm going to make sure it runs good and all that. If I have to change a spark plug, I'll do that. We'll change the oil. We'll check the condition of the oil first and just triage it and see what's up. First, let's try to start it. So here we go. I did check the gas. There's a lot of gas in here. With this, you do that for choke, right? The key is on, right? We'll prime it a couple of times. I believe the fuel is running. When the knob is vertical, it's a one-line fuel line that goes that way. When it's vertical, it should be open. Throttle is here and it's on high rabbit. Okay, so now we got a clear idea about what's going on here, as you guys saw, right? The fuel does appear to be running, so the fuel shutoff is a horizontal level to show that the fuel is going into the carburetor. It starts on choke, but as soon as it runs for a little bit and you want to take it off a choke to full run, it wants to stall and it hesitates a lot. And that was the reason why when you tried to engage it, when it was on run, it wants to stall. It wants to stall without engaging anything, you know what I mean? But it appears that the drive system works fine, and I think I saw the impeller and the auger moving just fine too. So looks like it's just a carb clean that would probably fix the problem. The only thing is these older Briggs & Stratton engines, right? You've got so much going on over here that you don't have very easy access to the carburetor. So it's a little bit of doing to get that this part out and get to the carburetor. But let's take it step by step and just get access to the carburetor and check out the situation of the condition of the bowl. So I've got my most commonly used tool cart out with a couple of impacts ready. I put a piece of cardboard underneath so that we don't trash the driveway. I know I've got this chipper shredder that I just picked up a little while back, and I was kind of excited to work on that too, but being that this is for my neighbor and winter's around the corner, let's get this one going first. So it appears that what we got to take off here is this cover. You can see the studs over here to take off, almost like an air cleaner. That muffler is hot right now because we just ran it for that bit. So I'm going to remove this. The key comes out. I should put this somewhere. I know I'm going to lose it. I'll just put it right there. Remember, it's there. The knob should just pull right off with a little bit of help. Maybe it doesn't. Seems like it does. Get like a screwdriver and pry it.
Henry, you're gonna break it.
Maybe, maybe not. There we go. See? Just pry it off. So the knob is off. And I'll take that off. Okay, here we go. Now the primer bulb is going to be attached to an air hose. See if we just pivot it. There we go. So it has a wire on the back that's connected to the ignition switch, and the primer just disconnected the air line, and I'm going to disconnect the line, the module to the switch, just like that, 2 prongs, just like that. Okay, flat end on that side. Remember that, flat part on that side. Got it. So that's it, that's the cover. And here you can see, wow, it has like a mesh type of filter here. That's pretty cool. And the carburetor is right there. Turning this for the choke, open and closed. Throttle looks good. Looks like I want to remove this so I can at least get to the bottom of it. This looks like a 5/16 bolt over here, or screw. And of course, this thing is in the way, so when you use an impact, it's not easy. There you go, 5/16. I feel like there should be another one. There is. Is it more than 2? Okay, that, thank goodness, just 2. So now we have access to the bowl. Should I put it on its face so that it doesn't drip all over the place? I'm going to do that. I've learned over the years to put this in somewhere, because me moving things around, kicking things, I end up kicking screws and bolts all over the place and you can never find it. I got 1,000 boxes, why not use a box? So let's put this on its face, which is basically the snowblower's service position. And this way you actually stop the fuel from leaking out because it's in a inverted direction. The drive seems to work just fine, and also he needs big time air in these tires. 11 years, never did anything to it. So model number is 920-015, and the serial number, I think it's maybe 05. Does 05 seem like no, that can't be it. 15? Yeah, that would make sense. No, is that? If you add 11 years to 15, that's 26. That's not right. So that's no 05. I don't know. So now we have excellent access to the bowl nut of the carburetor. It's a 1/2-inch nut. So the neighbor's name is Brian. I'm going to be sending this to him, so I'm going to be talking to him. Now, Brian, now that you have a tutorial on how to do this, you could do it yourself. He's probably thinking to himself, do I want to do it myself? Hell no. But to guys like me and my subscribers, we like this stuff. It's interesting. You want to see if you can do it yourself. I will admit, I don't work on these Briggs & Strattons very much, although I've had quite a few of them in my life. Do I like working on them? It's a little bit more complicated than the older, like Tecumseh Snow King type engines. And you see, I can't even get this nut off very easily, which means it's pretty dirty. I don't know how you got this to run for 11 years without doing anything to it, but you've been super lucky, bro. Anyhow, I have never seen this mesh filter thing before, ever. Never seen it. So we're gonna have some gas that comes out, and honestly, that doesn't look bad at all. You have to make sure all the holes are clear. Okay, remember, I put it here. All right, let's take that bowl off and see. And it's hard to get off because of this thing here. Okay. This looks totally dry. How is it running? It looks perfectly dry. How is it running? Yeah, it really boggles my mind. But anyway, as you can see in the bowl, it's pretty clean, but there's a lot of dried varnish in there. As you can see, this hue of yellowish color, well, that's varnish. That's dried up over the years. So that's why it kept on running, because there's really not a lot of loose debris that would be sucked up the emulsion, right? But why doesn't it run well on run and only runs well on choke? It's because the emulsion's probably filled with varnish as well. So let me clean this up, and we're gonna shoot some carb cleaner in here. I'm gonna see if there's a jet that I can remove from inside the emulsion tube, and that way we can clean out the holes really well. So because the wheel is in the way, I can't stick my head in there to see whether or not it's a jet, main jet that's screwed in or not, you know, because some do and some don't. So here we have a linchpin that easily disconnects. It has two holes. One you put it on for the transport, where it just rolls freely, right? And then the second hole is for drive, where the pin goes through the axle so that it holds the wheel on drive. Just remove the wheel real quick. I'll also grease the axle at the same time. So now I can actually see. And it does not. The emulsion is a regular emulsion, and it's not, doesn't have a main jet screw. I'm gonna let you guys see a little bit more detail here. So we're gonna grease this area. These are the two holes I was talking about. This hole over here is for drive, and if you put it in this hole over here, it won't, the engine won't spin the wheels. It's for transport if you want to roll it around. So here's the condition of the carburetor. And as you can see, there's actually quite a bit of a coating here that's gotten really cracked up and stuff. Here, I'm going to rotate it this way so the camera lens can see. There you go. See upwards in the emulsion, there's no main jet screw. So I'm going to actually take this apart and clean it without removing it from the carburetor. Without removing the carburetor, we're going to clean that area here, because look, there's a coating of crap there. I want to get that out. All right, I'm going to remove the float. So it's this pin. We'll pull the pin out, hold the float in place. Here's the pin. I better put it in this bowl. I know I'm going to use it. I'm going to remove it slowly, and it has like these flakes on here. And there's the pin. The pin's in good condition because we don't really have to worry about it. The tip is a metal tip, which means there's a rubber seat on the inside there. But it doesn't leak, seems to be fine. I'm gonna put this in here too. I'm gonna blow this out. I'm gonna blow all this stuff out here. Look at this. Look at that dust. Crazy talk, huh? I'm using some contact cleaner from my friends over at Lucas Oil Products. This is my go-to stuff. I'll just put that there. Clean that out. I'm gonna blow in this hole here. Now with regular carb spray, I can hear it. With regular carb spray, it would blow up that rubber seat in there, but because it's contact cleaner, it doesn't blow up gaskets. Don't take my word for it. Try it yourself. Ask my friend Bill Martini. I've given him cans and cans of this stuff over the years, and he'll swear by this too. Does not blow up gaskets. And look, we just blew it up the emulsion, so it comes out the mouth of the carburetor, and as you can see, it's like brown liquid coming out, which means that there's a lot of varnish in here. Got a toothbrush, any toothbrush. When you're done with your toothbrushes, don't throw them out. Keep them in your garage so that you can use them for cleaning your carburetor.
But Henry, most people don't clean their own carburetors.
That's true. Then you should tell them to all mail me their old toothbrushes.
That's disgusting, Henry.
Oh, shut up. Yeah, that's good enough. Ah, that feels much better.
Henry, you're getting that area all wet.
Stuff dries up very fast. Quick drying. So there we go. That's really blown out well. But am I satisfied? No. Because I want to get the holes around the mouth.
Henry, you shouldn't talk dirty like that.
Oh, shut up. I'm going to remove the two 5/16 screws over here to have access to this mesh filter, which I've never seen before. Look at that. You guys seen that before? It's cool. It'll keep leaves and branches and stuff from being sucked into the mouth. That's cool. See, has a gasket that's onto a metal bracket, and these screws are silver. As you can see here, there's holes. I'll show you closer. Getting close to the mouth now. As you can see, you got lots of input and output holes for the primer, the choke mechanism, and we're just going to blow that stuff out with the spray. Into the holes. This is for the primer. Look at that, see? That's clear. That's for the emulsion. That's clear too, as you can see. There's one on the inside here. Where's that go? One of the numerous channels in there. You want to spray here where the pivot of the choke flap goes. This is all flooded now for sure. We'll have to let it dry a little bit before we try to start it up. This is definitely not going to start now. It's flooded. But as you can see, all the channels are clean and open, and we just got rid of a lot of the varnish. It's almost as good as cleaning the carburetor by removing it, you know? You do use quite a bit of this spray though, but you know what? Some good stuff. Okay, here's the bowl. Got this attachment onto my drill. Sometimes you'll really scratch up your hands if you don't hold it just right. Look at these splits. Two seconds. Super clean. Next we have the jet, the nut jet, and it has quite a lot of varnish on it. Let's see if it goes through the hole. It does, and as you can see, it goes upwards too, which means it's good. Yeah, so that's a clear jet nut. And we'll just brush off a little bit of the varnish that's in the area. You don't want to use a metal one because you'll ruin the gasket on here. So you just use a soft bristle one. If you wanted to really go nuts and clean it to its core, remove the gasket before you use a steel wool type of bristle brush. All right, we can put this carburetor back together again. Got the carburetor on. We'll clean this up a little bit. Not gonna go crazy. We were able to remove it no problem before. As you see, there's some lithium grease over here, which is good, but over the years it has transferred from here to there. So we're gonna do some spray grease. This is red and tacky from my friends over at Lucas Oil Products. For you newcomers who don't know and ask why Henry always talks about Lucas Oil Products, it's because I'm actually a sponsored YouTuber for Lucas Oil, and they've been supplying me with products close to 3 years now. There we go. Now we rotate it and get that grease all around the axle. Make sure we line it up with the second inner hole, and then put the lynch pin back in. Lynching. There we go. Instead of me putting all that crap back on to cover the carburetor, well, I think we might have to because of the kill switch. It might as well. I mean, I feel pretty good about it, but I don't want to have to take all that shit apart again, you know? But anyway, I'm going to do that. there you go. It sounds great. It actually runs, to my opinion, better one click. This is full run, okay? So this is choke, right? It actually runs, that's the last click on full run. It actually runs better on one click back. And the reason behind that is because it's an 11-year-old carburetor, right? You either replace the whole carburetor to have it run absolutely mint. But because over the years, the jet in the hole, it gets bigger over time, slightly, minuscule amounts. You can't even measure it with the naked eye, you know what I mean? But there's too much fuel going through the hole now because the hole has opened up over the years. Therefore, when the flap is completely open, it doesn't run as good as if it's slightly closed because of the air-fuel mixture balance. So, I mean, it runs fine on the last click, but if you want to be a perfect person, it should run like that sound, one click behind. But to use it just like that is absolutely fine, short of replacing your entire carburetor, which you're still not guaranteed to have a good one because usually the original OEM carburetors are very expensive, maybe $60 to $80, maybe even $100, I'm not sure. But if you buy an aftermarket one, you could probably get one for about $15. But the aftermarket ones may not be precisely drilled as good as the OEM ones, so you may still have the same issue, if not worse, you know. So this is just fine the way it is. That was pretty easy, guys, honestly. It was just a typical carburetor clean, and we did grease the axle. We're gonna put some air into these tires because the level of the shoes as well as the scraper bar is to the satisfaction of the owner. He told me that this is the level that he likes. We did check his shear pins, and they're very good. And as you saw, the impeller moves fine too. You got a twig there and some vines, but that's good. As you guys can tell, the Ariens has its trademark scoop impeller blades, almost like an ice scoop, so that it scoops up the snow. Still has the snow removal tool, or what I like to call a shovel. So let's drain the oil and give this baby a new oil change, huh? All right, here's an oil change. Now for machines that run below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, you have a winter machine, so you need to put in 5W30. You don't have to put Lucas oil in. I just put Lucas oil in because it's some good shit. This is synthetic, which is expensive stuff. Oh, Brian, am I gonna charge the shit out of you? Just kidding, it's just a joke. Anyway, over here is the reservoir. Can you guys see that? Reservoir that goes into the engine block with one nut over here. You want to hold this rod here with another pair of channel locks because sometimes this is on so tight that you move the entire stick going into the engine block, which you don't want it to move. So let's do that. Good news, there's no leaks, which means I put the carburetor on just fine. It didn't tighten the bolt too hard or too loose. So all good. So what I was talking about here is you want to get a pair of channel locks and hold the rod. Go hold your own rod. And then you turn this nut to loosen. This is how you drain the oil from the machine. This is how you drain the oil from the machine, man. Oh my God. Look at that oil. It's so black. I like black oil and I cannot lie. All right, I've gone nuts. Yeah, this oil is yucky and it's very, very watery. So you totally needed an oil change. There's almost no lubricity to it. But then again, it has been running for a while, so it's hot and warm. Hot and warm oil. So we're gonna let this completely drain out and we're gonna refill it with some brand new 5W30 synthetic from Lucas Oil. Let me smell this just to see if it smells like gas. No, it smells like oil, which means that your carburetor is in good shape. We'll tilt it rearwards or downwards, or like they say in Canada, downwards. And that's the majority of the Earl that's in the crankcase. It helped that we ran it for that long because the oil is, like I said, very liquidy, so it drains out fast. That's done, see? Oh, you lied. What did I do with that nut? Oh.
Henry, you're a nut.
And we'll just put this back on again. Tighten it slightly, don't over tighten. And we'll just add to the line. That's good. Remember to dispose of your Earl at your local gas station. I believe Home Depot actually, no wait, was it Home Depot? No, it was like Pep Boys or something. Usually auto places will take your oil. And if they don't, you have to report them because it's their obligation to do it. So I don't know exactly how much oil it takes. It seems like it's a quart, a little less than a quart. So I'll just put in like a little more than half. I'll put a little more than half of that quart that I have, and then we'll check the levels as it settles. Here I got you in view of the dipstick. Dipstick?
Cletus, you know what you are? You're a dipstick, a 14-karat dipstick.
That feels good. I just checked the levels and it's perfect. So it was just a little bit under a quart. Okay? That's how much you put in there. It's perfect right on the line. Now look at this. See this? What is this? This is an option where you can plug in an halogen light. Some of these models came with a little light. You could just plug that in, and it has a stator on the flywheel, so it generates electricity while the engine's running and powers a light if you wanted it. So that's what that is. It just hangs loose like that, which I know it seems kind of weird, but it's what it is. Let's put some air in these tires, huh? Hey Brian, when was the last time you put air in these tires? He's like, never! You have to put air in the tires? You mean they're not solid? Well, that's gonna grip really well in the winter. Good enough. I'm not gonna gauge it. Whatever feels good. You do the feel test. Yep, that's good. It's just a snowblower, guys. Not a performance Formula 1 machine. That almost seemed like it was off the beat for a second, huh? It's perfect now. Whatever it is. All right, so look. I'm not gonna check the bottom because the drive is crisp and it runs just fine. Also, I'm not gonna check the spark plug because it's almost never the spark plug, and not to mention it runs fine. So that's why there's a saying, if it ain't broke, so if there was an issue, you look at it, but you don't have to look at it if it runs fine, you know? There's nothing wrong with it. So now we cleaned the carburetor, added some air, greased the axle, gave it an oil change. Let's try running it some more. didn't try the automatic start. Beautiful. Perfect. So there you go. Ariens 26 dual stage snowblower. We changed the oil with some 5W30 synthetic motor oil from Lucas Oil. We greased the axles of the wheels, gave some air into the tires, cleaned the carburetor, and that's all we did, huh? We tested everything, works fine. It's a good machine. I like the Ariens. Anyway, Brian, if you're watching, and I know you are, darling, it's ready to be picked up whenever you want. Go get Sean. Anyway, thanks a lot for joining me on my snowblower tune-up. We'll see you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers.